Hi, welcome to Front Porch Conversations. I'm Mindy Tate, Executive Director of Franklin Tomorrow, and today we're at McEwen North Side, which is the new home of Williamson Inc.'s offices. This is a Boyle development at the corner of Mallory Lane and Aspen Grove Drive. So it's a great time to come see this property. It's so interesting, but we're going to go to Vintage Find 100, their deck overlooking Cool Springs, and have a front porch conversation with Matt Largen, the CEO and president of Williamson Inc. Join us. Hi everybody, I'm Mindy Tate, Executive Director of Franklin Tomorrow, and we're on the front porch, I guess, sort of the Williamson Inc. offices in McEwen North Side. We're on the porch, upstairs porch at Vintage Find 100. This is a great spot, and we have with us Matt Largen, the president and CEO of Williamson Inc. So this is kind of your front porch, right?
I would say it's our front porch. It's the place you will definitely find our team when you can't find them in their office, for sure.
Oh, there's great space here in
Yes.
McEwen North Side, and you all, we've toured your offices, and they are gorgeous. And y'all had some requirements, or your staff had some requirements and
They
things
did.
they really wanted to have, and you've got it in abundance. And that's a view and natural light.
Natural light, yeah. When we looked at new space, we actually surveyed our team members, and we took that survey very seriously. And the number one thing that came out was access to natural light. At our old place, Meridian's a great development, great mixed-use development. Boyle's a great developer. We didn't have a lot of light. And so this accomplishes that in spades. So we're thrilled at the natural light, the connectivity, and for us, this is a great development to be in, to showcase the future of Williamson County when we're recruiting the next Mitsubishi or Nissan to move here and create jobs for our neighbors and our residents.
And speaking of Mitsubishi, they're your neighbor.
That's right. Yeah, they're the upstairs neighbor on 7, and they have part of 6 as well.
So it's a great development and really cool, and some great new dining options.
Yes.
Starting with the Just Love Cafe was the first,
Yep.
I think, to open here, but
Right.
ice cream and now Perry's.
Yeah, we've got within walking distance meat, wine, alcohol, cookies, and ice cream. I mean, what more could you want,
Oh,
right?
Yeah, maybe. I'm sure somebody has a Sonic ice machine.
Probably so.
That
Yeah,
would,
that's probably
you
right.
know.
That would do it. Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're a private person, which is funny because you're such a public
Right.
persona, or
Right.
people think, oh, it's Matt Largen, we
Right.
know him. But
Yeah.
so,
They don't.
where are you from, Matt?
Yeah. So
Who's your mama?
I
How'd you
know,
get here?
I know. No. So I'm actually from Arkansas. I was born and raised in Fort Smith, Arkansas. I went to college in South Arkansas, then graduate school in New Hampshire. Back to Little Rock for a few years, worked for their Chamber of Commerce, and then moved to the region. I had to look at LinkedIn this morning to know exactly when, but I moved to the region now 17 years ago, and I've lived in Franklin for 11, according to LinkedIn.
According to LinkedIn, and you feel that's fairly accurate?
It's pretty close,
Well,
yeah.
your Twitter profile is verified, so.
Oh yeah, I have a blue check mark.
Yeah,
It
you
has
have
to
a
be
blue
true.
check mark.
Has to be true.
Has
That's
to
right.
be
Has to be true.
Has to be true. So,
Yeah.
what brought you to Middle Tennessee?
Yeah, so it was really the job at the Nashville Chamber. Janet Miller, a friend and mentor of mine, happened to meet her at a work conference in Little Rock, and she happened to have at that time an open position. So I was recruited for the job at the Nashville Chamber, and have just loved being in this region ever since then.
And really, the Nashville Chamber, it is a regional
Right.
chamber, and the idea there, and you work together still and collaborate.
Sure.
But Williamson County is your main focus, correct?
Yeah, so for sure. And when I worked at the Nashville Chamber, we did cover 10 counties, and I did work the Verizon Wireless project when they located their state of Tennessee headquarters here. But yeah, right now it's all things Williamson County. I think for us, we have a brand that is unique from Nashville, but will always be tied to Nashville because of geography.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think is really important. And one of the things we're noticing as a trend, I would say within the last few months, is companies and consultants are coming to us first before they go to the region. And I think that's just the brand that's been established by Franklin and Williamson County over the last 5 years.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about economic development, but we're really here to sort of get to know you a
Okay,
little bit
all right,
better,
all right.
because that's where we're casual
Okay,
dress,
okay.
and we'll do that. But what do you think is Williamson County's calling card?
It's public education. It's our education, and it's more than just that. It's education ecosystem in Williamson County. But it really starts with public education, and the leadership back in the '80s that said we're going to make this the best school system in the state. Our entire economy was built. It has been built off, and still continues to be built off the strength of our public school system.
And then there are components that have been added to that in terms of private education, but also
Right.
the great Columbia State
Yep.
Community
Yep,
College
for sure.
campus.
Yeah.
And it's taken a lot of people working very hard, right?
Yes, it has. Yeah, the Columbia State, it just adds that other selling point for Williamson County, especially the dual enrollment. I have so many parents who tell me how much money they're able to save in college by having that as an option for their students here.
If you think back to when you came to Nashville Region and then moved to Williamson County, what in your mind has evolved or changed in those 15 years or so?
15 years. You know, it's really interesting. When I worked at the Nashville Chamber, and I hate to focus this on some work, but I worked at the Nashville Chamber, we would get excited about a call center looking here. There's nothing wrong with the call center, but those jobs weren't very high paying, and we wanted to recruit high paying jobs that really help create careers for our friends, family, and neighbors. And that shifted dramatically. If you look at the Oracle announcement a few weeks ago in Nashville, and then the Spring Hill Battery Plant announcement, we could have never imagined that 17 years ago we'd be where we are when it comes to the quality of projects that we get to work. Certainly that's changed. You're seeing more mixed-use developments, and I think more than anything, you are seeing companies move here with a core group, but then hire mostly local that create those career paths for our residents, which is really important if you think about your kids and grandkids coming back to the area and having that career, not being forced to go to Chicago or Atlanta or Charlotte. They can have that career right here in Williamson County, Middle Tennessee.
Are those mixed-use developments that you mentioned that are offering a variety of housing types, are they helping to feed that employment market?
For sure. Yeah, people want talent. A company moves to an area to access the talent, and a talent wants connectivity. They want things that are walkable, that are connected. So the work that's being done on the trail system in Franklin is incredibly important. The work that's being done through the private developers with these mixed-use communities that are connected is incredibly important. That's what the next generation workforce looks for, and that's what companies look for when they evaluate an area.
Even through the pandemic, we maintained, or were very close to maintaining, the state's lowest unemployment
Yes,
rate.
that's right. We were.
And how does that work with all these new jobs coming to the area? Are people moving up and making space for others to take other jobs, or how do you feel that works?
Yeah, I again, I hate to use the term ecosystem. That's what we're talking about, right? Is that these jobs are career paths. So someone could start out working at Nissan. Maybe it's in their call center customer service, or it's in a marketing. They move up to Tractor Supply and take a middle management role, and then at Mars Pet Care a VP role. So I think that's where these companies really complement each other. Is they give the talent and the families of the talent, the spouses, and employment opportunities as well.
That's great. So I asked you what's changed since you came here.
Right.
Is there something you are surprised to see as part of our community today?
I think it's just how quick Nashville caught fire, relatively speaking.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting if you look at the history of our economy. We were an agrarian economy in the 70s, all the way up to 1988. Manufacturing was the #1 employer in Williamson County, and that's just changed dramatically over the last couple decades. So I think the pace has really surprised me, and at the same time we haven't grown as fast as in Austin or Charlotte or other places. So it may feel like that to us, and certainly it does, but we haven't had the unbelievable rapid growth of, say, in Atlanta or Austin. And the city leadership and county leadership has done a good job to really manage that growth in areas that preserves the character of our community.
So we can look across the interstate behind us and see Nissan and some of the other places that have come to Franklin national and international headquarters. Mm-hmm. And now this is crossing and coming to this side of I-65. Mm-hmm. But it's adding so much to our community.
Right.
I mean, we sort of detailed it: meat, wine, ice cream, cookies, waffles, great
Right.
waffle sandwiches at Just Love.
Yeah,
I mean,
for
oh my
sure.
gosh, it's amazing.
Right.
So much is being added.
Right.
Even though it may seem overwhelming to
Right.
people who've been here some period of time.
Yes, there's no doubt, and that's real. It's funny. Yesterday afternoon, I had this conversation with my youngest daughter, and I empathize with the people who have been here their whole lives and see this change, and change can be always scary. And I think we talk about look at the two options. You can be like my hometown of Sebastian County, Arkansas, that hasn't added a single person or a job. And I remember I went on their social media site a few weeks ago, and it was post after post after post about people lamenting the fact of look what's lost. Why do we never get ahead? Why can't we attract the jobs? Why can't we attract the people? I do think you choose your path that you go down, and the path that we've chosen to embrace growth in a smart, sustained way provides those opportunities, whether it's restaurants, whether it's retail, and more importantly, it's those primary jobs that then have that multiplier effect to the Just Love Coffees of the world.
So, what is something that the people of Franklin and Williamson County might not know about you that you're willing to share?
That I'm willing to share, yeah. So I play.
You're a music head?
Well, no, I am this pilgrimage, make the pilgrimage in September. So a big Springsteen fan. I think anybody that knows me knows that. I played tennis in college in Arkansas, and then I coached in graduate school in New Hampshire, and I spent a summer teaching tennis off the coast of Maine on an island.
Wow. So how did you end up in Vermont?
I didn't. It was New Hampshire.
Oh, New Hampshire.
But
sorry, New Hampshire.
I know they're all, but
Maine and New Hampshire.
Yeah, it all looks kind of the same. So, so I actually, well, this is a tale that people don't know. I have a master's degree in sports psychology. So that's where I thought I was going to go at one point, was to work for like the U.S. Olympic team and be a sports psychologist. And then when I was in New Hampshire, I got into politics. Politics led to economic development, which led to this job eventually. But New Hampshire had one of the few sports psychology programs at the time, and I'd always wanted to go to New England with something different. So I actually went to grad school sight unseen. I'd never been in New Hampshire.
Wow.
I drove up there in my 1989 blue Jeep Cherokee with all my stuff in the back, moving into my apartment to start grad school, literally knowing no one in this entire state.
That's pretty amazing. That's pretty brave. But is that like where your team and collaborative spirit come from, do you think? That degree?
Yeah,
study?
probably so. I mean, I played tennis really growing up since I was about 8 years old. So I'd say that definitely plays a part of it. Even though tennis is an individual sport, you do play for a team. Your team wins or loses. So I think probably coaching had a lot to do with that.
Great. So is there a routine day in the life of Matt Largen?
I don't think there's a routine day in anybody's life with COVID.
Right.
But pre-COVID, every day is so different in this kind of job. I mean, it just depends on. For example, earlier this week I was touring Lasco, a box fan manufacturer in Williamson County. This morning I'm talking to you. It's just every day is so different because of the nature of a job like this. I think for a Chamber of Commerce, you really need to be involved in a lot of aspects of a community to really be effective. So whether that's schools, whether that's transportation, whether that's economic development, meeting with businesses, learning more about your community. I still learn things about businesses here every month or so.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, this afternoon I'm meeting with the company that's looking to leave. I think they have an office in Hong Kong, but I think their domestic is in New Jersey. So every day is so different in a job like this.
So what is something that you think people need to understand about economic development in our county?
Yeah, the best definition of economic development I've ever heard is helping to create prosperity for people you care about. And it really is that simple. And I heard this at a conference several years ago, and the guy who spoke told this incredibly heartwarming story of meeting a guy in a diner who found his job after getting out of prison because of the work this guy did to recruit that company to the city in Louisiana. And it was a great story. And I went up afterwards and said, please don't ever stop telling that story. I think when somebody's been at that low point where they haven't had a job, they know what it means to have jobs in your community, right? It's more than just selling goods and services. It provides a sense of worth, a sense of dignity. So certainly jobs aren't everything, but they're so core to what someone does on this earth with the limited time they have. And I think having an opportunity to do that and bring in and create and help create these opportunities for people is a really special thing.
So you mentioned COVID and the pandemic. So if you've said before, if any county or community
Sure.
can survive this and bounce back, it'll be Williamson County, and we're seeing that.
Right.
We're hearing sales tax,
Yep.
and we're hearing hotel occupancy and office rates. Tell us a little bit about how we're bouncing back from the pandemic.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. We're doing a lot of research in terms of sales tax revenue. We're even Yelp actually has a database of companies that self-identified as being open and closed. And we're really curious to get that data from Yelp to see what it looks like for Williamson County or Middle Tennessee. So, we've done really well. Still lowest unemployment rate in the state. We converted one of our team members to work on the Paycheck Protection Program, the loan for small businesses. So we saw a higher take rate in Williamson County because of that. But look, talk to anybody in residential real estate. Well, talk to your neighbor, right? I mean, it's through the roof because this is where people want to be. So, we've seen businesses open. We even saw 45 ribbon cuttings last year, which is extraordinary through a pandemic year. So I think whatever the economic disruption is, whether the next one's a plague of locusts or I don't know, whatever Exodus or Revelation says is next,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, look there. I think Williamson County is so well suited to do that for a whole lot of reasons. One of the biggest one is the ability to work from home.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of our companies were able to switch their jobs and their employees to work from home quickly without a lot of disruption. And I think because we maintained our purchasing power, that purchasing power then had that multiplier effect for our small businesses. They were able to sustain. It really was survival, right? Adaptation, and now thrive. But we were focused on helping people at that survival point during when the pandemic first hit last year.
So, do you have a personal philosophy or mantra?
It's changed a lot over time. I used to subscribe to the theory, find a better way. And I still think that's important because it always pushes us to do what we did last, do it better the next time. So find a better way. But my latest is fight for things you believe in a way that brings other people with you.
That's great.
And I think that's really, really important that we do that. I mean, you've got to have your principles, but you need to do it in a constructive way. And you all have done a lot of work in terms of having us engage civilly, which is so important whether we agree or not. We've got to engage with each other and bring people along. I think that's also really important too.
So you're one of the first people that people meet when they're considering moving to Williamson County or bringing a big business here. They're going to meet you or Elizabeth from your team
Mm-hmm.
or some great people. What advice would you give to those looking to move to Franklin or those that are new to our area?
Yeah, I would say do your homework. I would say get involved civically, whether it's a Rotary Club or going to Franklin Tomorrow events or our events. I mean, really dig into the community, find out and learn what made this place so special. Take some time to learn about the history of our community, how it was built culturally, civically, from an economic development standpoint, and then get involved and engaged. And whether that's serving on committees or running for office, it doesn't matter. But I think you owe it to serve. But before you do that, make sure you understand what made this community a great place, first and foremost.
So you love Pilgrimage, you love the
Yeah.
guys with Pilgrimage, and you
Sure,
love
for sure.
the music.
Yeah.
Disappointed they didn't get Springsteen. Come on,
Yeah, I don't know that would ever be what they're. Maybe one day. I'd love to see some Springsteen there. But Dave Matthews Band, Black Keys, Mary Morris. I mean, it's just a fantastic lineup.
It's
so
a great
I'm thrilled.
lineup.
Yeah.
Great lineup.
Yeah.
So anything you'd like to promote or anything that you all are focused on? You just had Outlook Williamson.
Right, we did. Yep, great event.
And
Our next big event is the State of the County address by our mayor, County Mayor Rogers Anderson. He always spends a lot of time really focusing on where we've gone and where we're going in the future. He does a great job with that particular event. It's in July. From a community standpoint, I think Juneteenth is something definitely to jump into this year, especially with the dedication of the U.S. Colored Troop statue.
June 19th.
June 19th, and really the next step of telling that fuller story in Franklin, which is so important to put context around the Civil War. It's not about erasing our history, it's about telling the complete history. So I really am appreciative of all the leadership that's worked on that project the last several years.
That's great. Anything we didn't ask you that you are willing to cough up or share?
I think we covered it all. Anything else you want to know that I might not tell you or might tell you?
So what's your favorite sport?
Skiing.
Skiing,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think people probably know that too. I'm
Yeah.
a big skier. I take pride in going as often as I can. It's hard in Nashville, but this year Utah was the destination. Last year it was Idaho, so I try to go to as many states as I can domestically to ski. I've never gone internationally, but I'd love it. If I lived in Denver, you'd never see me. I'd be at the ski slope all the time.
You'd be at the ski slope. That's
Yes.
great. Well, thanks for letting us get to know you a little bit better and hear about the average day. Not that there is one,
Right.
but we appreciate it. And
Sure.
thank you for watching Front Porch Conversations. We don't want to forget to have you complete the Civic Index survey and let us know and help us measure civic capital and community capital in our community of Franklin. Frank Talks is June 14th. Our next Breakfast with the Mayors is July 27th. And we would love for you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and also Find Hope Franklin. Thank you for joining us on this Front Porch Conversation from McEwen Northside and the deck at Vintage Fine 100.